Alright, hello everybody. Welcome back to Trinity Competitive Racing for round 12 of the Golden Class in Season 15. And we are here for the sprint weekend for TCR. We have sprint race and the 3-tire special. We'll go over all of that. But on track is qualifying for the Golden Class. And although we have a short grid tonight, we do have all of our championship contenders involved for both the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. We have SBM going for the Drivers' Championship, which he can clinch tonight. We'll go over that in just a second. And between he and McLaren guys, it is a close matchup in the Constructors. Mercedes and McLaren duking it out for that championship, but Tebow not here on the Mercedes side of things. So McLaren does have an edge with both Main Wayne and Raiden Shogun on track here today as the first time going to Omega, a 1:17.598. And Main Wayne missed out on a lot of points last week by not being there for the Italian Grand Prix. He is going into today 66 points back of SBM. Now keep in mind with the sprint race, which will be after qualifying, it will be 12 laps, and everybody gets points because there's only 7 people tonight, but it will be 8 points going towards the winner, and it goes down by 1. So for example, first place will get 8 points, 7th will get 2. So the sprint race could factor into the championship, but SBM, from my calculations, if he finishes, and this is not including the sprint race, if he finishes 4th in the feature race tonight, SBM will clinch the Season 15 Drivers' Championship, which is really impressive considering we're only on round 12 and there's still 2 rounds to go after this race. So it will be a long night, but stay with us. It'll be exciting for sure. My name is Camden Luca, by the way, if you didn't know that. I've kind of returned my role of being the lead commentator for the Golden Class for the second half of this season, but it's good to be here, and we'll enjoy this together. But Main Wayne on track right now. He's headed through Sector 2 of the track, a very technical section where you go back and forth through the S's. And he's headed through turn 11 right now, this right-hander where you can really ride the curbs right there. As a matter of fact, if you do it right, you can go wide there through turn 11 and not get an invalidation, but you have to do it pretty perfectly or else the game will get you. But Main Wayne headed through turn 14 right now, this right-hander. Want to keep it right towards the inside, which he does. Into the line, top of the chart. A 1:16.7. So these are all pretty good banker laps, but here's what we're going to be looking at. SBM on his outlap. This is a big day for him as he can clinch the Drivers' Championship, and he's got a really comfortable lead. In the interviews last week, I was trying to just see if there was any sort of pressure going into this race for him, because although he needs to just finish 4th today in the feature race to pretty much wrap things up, it can always be a little nerve-wracking. You know, you just never know. There's always a little bit of uncertainty as to, if I DNF today and Main Wayne wins, then what will happen the last 2 rounds? So it's not over until the fat lady sings, if you will. And SBM, a big day for him as he could possibly clinch the Season 15 Drivers' Championship, and deservedly so. If you look at the results this season, SBM has 6 victories, and if you include the sprint race, it's 7. The Brazil sprint race, that is. And he has not finished off the podium in any race so far this season. He's been extremely consistent. Main Wayne has been fantastic, but SBM has been easily the best driver so far this season. So we'll see what kind of a time he puts up as he heads into Sector 3. Not the cleanest turn 11 right there. Not the smoothest corner exit. As he heads through turn 13, I find that you can really slide the car through that corner. if you so choose, but SBM taking a little wider entry into turn 14. Onto the front stretch he goes, and SBM P6 at the moment, roughly a second and a half behind the main Wayne. Ben Swerven starting his lap. Let's do an onboard with Ben Swerven as he heads through turn 1, this hard braking area. It's easy to lock up through there, as well as turn 2, which he is approaching right now. That right there was a DRS zone, and I don't know if Monaco compares, but I can imagine that is one of the shortest DRS zones on the calendar. But Ben Swerven headed up into turn 4. He's a little conservative through there. Not sure if he's... I don't think he is going through with this lap, so we'll check back in with Ben Swerven. But his teammate Segrist appears to be starting a lap. He's headed through Sector 1, Turn 2. And you could really go side by side through there as SBM giving way to Ben Swerven. Yeah, Ben Swerven looks like he's either setting himself up for another lap or he's going to come back in. It's really hard to get another lap in if you have to bail out, just because of the fuel and the battery, depending on when you back out of your first lap. But it looks like he's going to go ahead and do another lap. His in-lap might be really slow just because he might be out of fuel, but nonetheless, Ben Swerven will give it another go. Segrist, meanwhile, in Sector 3, he had a purple Sector 2, so let's keep an eye on Segrist as he heads into turn 13, this kind of long left-hander. Not distance-wise, but it's a pretty slow corner, so it feels like a long corner. But Segrist off the final corner and coming to the finish line, top of the chart, 116.6. That is the pole lap as of now for Mr. Segrist. Yesterday in the silver class, the pole lap was a 116.1, as Ben Swerven looking like he's possibly bailing out of this one. Yeah, he's just going to come back to the pits, it looks like, and try it again. Let's check in with Raiden Shogun, the only driver yet to put in a lap thus far. And Raiden's had a pretty impressive season. He's not in the Drivers' Championship. It doesn't look like it's going to be his season in the Drivers, but for him being a rookie, coming in fresh off of a rookie season in the silver class last season, he is doing very well. Third in points with a win in China. Michael, as a matter of fact, yesterday there was only 7 people in the silver race yesterday, so I think half the grid got stuck in Imola in the floods maybe, but Raiden Shogun coming to the line, and he goes P4, 117.2. I was actually talking with Seafreeze yesterday. There's a chance this may be the smallest grid that we've had. For the silver class yesterday we had 7. For today we've had 7, and I don't know if we could do like a weekly average, but this has to be the smallest weekly average I think we've ever had. Maybe back in like Season 1 or Season 2 the grid was a little smaller. As a matter of fact, I don't think we have any footage of the first couple of seasons. I know it's not on the YouTube channel here. So the league was a lot smaller back then, and right now I feel like TCR is going through a transition period. This game is not very popular among the F1 crowd, among people who sim race, so I think that's part of the problem too. But I know F1 23 has a lot of hype. It seems like it's going to be a good game. And keep in mind, this was the first game with crossplay, and there's been some difficulties with it, so I think you'll see a bigger crowd next season, at least for week 1. For all 3 classes, I'm predicting we'll see at least 15 people, or at least I hope, for all 3 classes. With tracks like Las Vegas being on the schedule, which, by the way, I just saw a preview for that today. That track is gnarly. With the straightaways, like, I know what wings I'm running for that race, but SBM is going to give it another go. And right now, he is a second and a half behind Segrist for the pole position. So SBM going to have to pick it up a little bit. I mentioned he's got a comfortable points lead, but you want to get it done as soon as you can. Really, I think it's nice to just have the last couple of races of the season kind of just to go for the win. You know, not to have to worry about the points. And I'm sure SBM wants to wrap this up right here, right now, especially with more points on the line. But he's going to have to do it by getting past Main Wayne, who puts up a 116.3, and he's at the top of the chart. But this guy might have something to say about it. Let's see what his time is through Sector 2, and it is purple by over a second. So this will be close. I don't know if he's going to get Main Wayne, but he could possibly get Segrist. I know his turn 14 wasn't the best the previous lap, so he might gain a lot of time right through here. Yeah, he keeps it nice and tight this time through that corner. But to the line, he does go P2. A 10th behind Main Wayne, so these two always tend to be 1 and 2 on the year. If you've kept up, you would know that these two combined have won 10 of the 11 races on the calendar. So it's been the Main Wayne and SBM show thus far, but you'll see if any of these other drivers have something to say about it. Yes, Raikkonen. Man, I shouldn't have revealed my setup strategy there. Ugh, you guys are on to me now. Yeah, we have a little brief pause here in qualifying, so let's go over the constructors. I mentioned that McLaren and Mercedes are neck and neck. The points, I don't want to call Charles out here, but the points are not updated from last week. But for my calculations, it is 3 points going into today between McLaren and Mercedes, and with only one Mercedes driver here, this really puts things into the favor of McLaren. And if you've been following both the Platinum and Silver seasons, you would know that as of now, those are also split for the championship. So we could see all 3 classes have a split championship when it comes to the drivers and constructors. But somebody I have not mentioned, which is crazy that there's a driver I haven't mentioned because there's only 7 of them tonight. C. Rizzi is here tonight, and he's been pretty good this season. He's around 8th in points right now, fighting with Tebow, and with Tebow not here, he should be able to get him as long as he finishes, just because with only 7 people, there's a guarantee that as long as you finish the race, you're going to get a good amount of points. 7th place pays out 6 points, and keep in mind, you do get points in the sprint race too. So the minimum you can get tonight is 7 points. And if you get the fastest lap, it can be 8. But everybody is going for 34 points. Yeah, 34 points, right? Yeah, 34 points is the maximum that you can get. And that's what C. Rizzi is going for tonight, as he is going to start his lap. Looks like he began the hot lap battery before the final corner, and I say that because the battery does run out pretty early here when you're doing qualifying. It actually runs out before the final corner, and I was debating on starting the battery right before the finish line. For my lap, C. Rizzi will have to do another lap as he slams the inside wall, and you know what? That might be the end of his qualifying, and he is going to retire on track. Not ideal, but his qualifying is over, so hopefully he can get out of the way here and not cause anything, but I believe no harm, no foul. He did break his wing, but Main Wayne is going to back out. I think he's on an out lap still, so yeah, no, he's still getting warmed up, luckily. Same with Raiden, but see Rizzi going to start towards the back of the 7-car grid, which isn't saying much, but as a matter of fact, yesterday F1 Nerd had to serve a back of the grid penalty in qualifying. He couldn't have chose a better race to do it, because there was only 7 people in silver class yesterday as well. So really, I mean, he got away with murder, if you will. He didn't have to really serve anything. So if you're going to serve a back of the grid or any sort of penalty, or if you have an issue in qualifying, this is the day to do it. But everybody on track right now. Let's take a look at Omega. Unless if anyone else is coming to the line. It looks like Segrist is starting his lap. Main Wayne is starting his lap. Raiden also starting his lap. So yeah, let's keep in check here with Omega, as he is roughly ahead of his time. But let's take a look at the Sector 2 Delta. Yep, now he's a lot better. And you know what? We'll see what Raiden does, and we'll see what Ben Swerven does first. Let's take a look at Ben Swerven as he comes to the line first. He is going to be 4th. Omega could get 5th here. Let's see what Omega does as he comes to the line. P5 for Omega, a 116.7. And Omega is in for some pretty good points today. Going into today, well, the points aren't updated, but I am going to estimate that he's 15th in the points going into today, just based on what happened last week. So this could be a huge day, a huge rewarding day for him. But SBM rounding the final corner to finish his lap. And to the line he goes. Pole position, 116.2 for SBM. Segrist to the line. Answers with a 116 flat. That is a great lap for him. Raiden will start P5 barely behind Ben Swerven. So he actually jumped Omega by just a little bit behind Ben Swerven, though. By thousandths of a second, he will be on the 3rd row instead of the 2nd. And Ben Swerven is invalid. So that will do it. Segrist getting pole position ahead of the 2 guys fighting for the driver's title, with one of them possibly able to clinch the driver's championship. And qualifying has been very mixed this season. I'll take a look at those right now, but they have been very mixed, with F&D cakes having the most pole positions as of now by a slim margin. We'll get those loaded, but that will do it for qualifying. Oh, that's right, Raikkonen. Yeah, that's right. Well, if we're going to do strategy, we should do that in private rather than, leaking our strategy on stream. Now everybody's going to run 50-50 wings at Vegas, so I don't think we're winning that one. But Segrist, top of the charts, he'll start on pole for the sprint race. Keep in mind, this is not the qualifying for the main race, as we will have a 12-lap sprint here in about 28 seconds. And C. Rizzy will start P7. We saw him crash out in turn 1, and he will have some work to do. But drop your predictions below, and this is 2 weeks in a row of us having a unique format. Last week we had the 5-lap races for the Platinum class, and we actually had a 5-lap race for Golden class as well, but Platinum had multiple 5-lap races. And this week we have the Sprint race. So I'm going to do SBM Segrist main wing. And I think SBM will jump Segrist just because SBM, he's literally won half the races this season. And Segrist, I will say, he is good in the first few laps, especially when he does like a soft tire strategy, which he tends to do at a lot of tracks. But in this race, you'll see everybody put on the mediums for the 12 laps. But Segrist is good off the line as, Ben Swerven, I think Segrist will be able to get him back in here. My game doesn't allow me to get people back in here. I was setting up a lobby one day, and when I say it had a stroke, it literally had a stroke. I went to the friends list, and it just blacked out all of a sudden, and it's been that way ever since. So, I hate to say it, but I think that's part of the reason too as to why people are not finishing off the season. They're looking forward to the new game. Numbers tend to fall off as the season goes, but we've seen a more dramatic fall off here this season. But as I said, everybody going to be on the medium tires for this race, and Segrist will lead them down. And I'm curious to see what his pace will be like. That's one of the things that doesn't get talked about. You have some drivers in this league like B-Tom who really have a fast formation lap pace. As a matter of fact, he goes just about full throttle on the formation lap, but he will be on pole. And in the stat book, you do get credited with a pole, just in the stat book, just because you do get a pole for the sprint race. Last week in the 5-lappers, the 5-lapper doesn't really count towards anything. There are points awarded, but it doesn't get like put in the book at all. So Segrist does get a pole technically for the year, and this is his second pole. If you want to count this as a pole. His other one was in Canada? Yes, was in Canada. So good for Segrist getting the pole position today. F&D leads the way with 4, Main Wayne with 3, and you know what? SBM, as much as he's been the guy this season in the race, he only has 2 pole positions on the year, so that's kind of why I picked him to win the sprint race, and we'll do our feature race predictions later on, but yeah, he's a good choice. But you take a look at the predicted tire strategy, and I don't know why they're even showing that, because it's medium tires all the way to the end, but oh boy, Ben's swerving. Hopefully he can get back in here, but he will be starting at the back for the feature race, as I don't like the fact that it disqualifies you for not being present, but we will start with the 6 other drivers. Lights out and away we go for the sprint race. Who gets off the line good? SBM gets a much better start than Segrist, and he might clear him down to turn 1. Looks like a McLaren's going to the inside. That was Raiden getting in behind Main Wayne, who sent it down the inside. And now we have a battle for P1. Segrist trying to get that spot back. He's going to have to tuck in line. Omega going for P4 on Raiden. He has to cut the track a little bit, but he gets the spot. For now, Raiden going to fight back, though. Whoa! They took as opposite of lines as you could take there in turn 4, and that really hurt Raiden Shogun. He's got pressure from C. Rizzy now as they head into the chicane. And he's going to file in line. That was tight. Nearly a spin for C. Rizzy, but SBM, well, one of my predictions worked out for once. I said that SBM, not the best qualifier, but he tends to get it done in the race, and he's already got the first position, so this could be an easy race for him as we have an overhead shot. Well, I have to get my helicopter noises ready, just in case if we do get a camera angle. So I got to get that on standby. That's kind of one of my trademark things I've developed, and I actually heard the commentators call me out for that yesterday. But lap 2 now, out of 12. Segrist still holding strong, and this is crucial for him to stay within DRS, and we say it every week just because as time has gone on, the straightaways and the DRS is huge, especially for tracks like Las Vegas next season. That will be astronomically important, but at this track, with how limited the DRS is, and especially if you don't have the pace, it looks like SBM may be a little quicker right now. Segrist needs to do everything in his power to stay within DRS, because if he doesn't, then SBM might pull away, as C. Rizzy has gone for a spin in Sector 2. And, oh, Omega is out! That is in Sector 2 in the S's. Let's take a look at where he crashed out. Yeah, he probably lost traction in that left-hander, and he is out as C. Rizzy struggling for grip. The tire's probably really hot. And now that leads us down to 5 people. No safety car. And SBM goes for fastest lap. That surprises me because Omega is... He's not in the track, but he's not really in a safe spot. Like, he's still pretty close to the racetrack. And we saw a safety car yesterday for F1 Nerd who crashed out in kind of similar circumstances. He wasn't like in the middle of the track, but he was right there. So that kind of surprises me. But I'm glad that we don't have a safety car, though. I feel like unless if you have a car either in the middle of the track or you have a multiple car incident, then there really isn't a need for one. So I'm glad that we're keeping things going here. But I see Rizzy appears to have gotten back underway, and he just needs to finish the race. If he does that, then he's got a guaranteed 4 points? Yeah, 4 points. So just finish the sprint race, get your points, and just set yourself up for the 50%. And as much as we have a short grid tonight, it is important to just get a good starting spot. You know, the less overtaking you have to do, the better. And especially at a track like this, where overtaking is slim to none, despite this straightaway here and maybe the next straightaway going into turn 2, but otherwise it is extremely hard to pass. But Segrist doing what he needs to do to stay with him, and Raiden, he got a poor start. We saw him get overtaken by Omega, and let's take a look at the positions gained and lost. We saw Main Wayne. I don't know if Main Wayne got damaged. I don't think he did, but we saw him make contact going into turn 1. He had a little bit of a send, but I think he is all good. Raiden got passed by Omega, but was able to get by him, and Omega is now out of the race. And C. Rizzy has gained 2 spots, but that's because we have 2 people not here, and I hope we can get Ben Swerven back in here. Maybe, I'm actually the lobby host, so I'm kind of in charge tonight, so maybe we can set a little bit of time aside to make sure he gets back in here before the 50%, but, yeah, third of the way through. Segrist showing his pace. SPM has been a little more conservative, so we'll see where his pace really lies as the race goes on, but Segrist, he's aggressive. I wouldn't say he's as aggressive as his teammate, or maybe some of the other people in the league, but if the move is there, Segrist will go for it, and he's going to use a little bit of battery here to try and get back in range of SPM. And keep in mind, we do have a whole half of this race to go, so you don't want to burn all of it right away, especially if SPM is saving his. And one of the, I mean, there's many difficulties as a driver, but one of the comparisons between the driver and the broadcaster is that the driver does not know what the other drivers have for battery, so it can be really hard to judge and strategize your battery usage. The only way to really tell what the other person is doing for battery is if they start to blink. If you're looking at this SPM's car right now and you see his light blinking, then that's a good indication for you that you have the advantage. Unless if you're also blinking, then you're both Caterpillar dump trucks, if you will. So, Main Wayne is outside of a second, so unless if they make a mistake up there, looking like he's going to settle in P3. C. Rizzy has not had a good sprint race. He spins out of turn 4. And that is a tricky corner. We saw a couple of spins there in the Silver Class race yesterday. And it's really difficult for a couple reasons. For one, you can clip the curb on the inside, and if you hit it wrong, it upsets the car and you can spin out, but you could also go wide very easily and either spin out or get a penalty. So that's one of the tougher corners on the track, but I gotta do this quick. That was a longer helicopter view than I was expecting. Thank you, game. Look at this. Wow. I was not expecting this, as we have a helicopter view from Segrist in P2. Man, I thought I saw one yesterday, but it was a very brief shot. So the cameras tend to fluctuate here in, in direction, but we were able to get a very long helicopter view. And trust me, that will not be the last helicopter shot that we see, ladies and gentlemen. See? I wasn't kidding. Check in with the main... I'm not going to do it again. Helicopter views everywhere, but Main Wayne's starting to get the gap back on Main Wayne, and it's crucial to get within that 1 second. He is just outside of it, so he's going to have to do that on Segrist. And Segrist showing his pace here early on. I said that Really, I said this would be a runaway for SBM, but Seeger's holding his own here against the guy who has won more than half the races this year. Oh, well, he's getting sideways there. It's not going to be easy for him if he keeps doing that, but good stuff so far from these two. Pretty mistake-free so far, but Main Wayne just lost a little bit of time. He might have made a mistake. Or you know what? He might be good in Sector 2. Let's take a look at his delta here on the left-hand side of the screen. He lost a lot of time in Sector 1. We'll see what he does here in Sector 2. Yeah, I'm curious. This race also is really fascinating because you really get to get a preview of what your competition is like, you know. And I kind of like that about the sprint race. You really have to adapt, and you also have to be consistent. You have to do the same thing really 2 times in a row, because in my opinion the preferred strategy is medium, hard, soft for the feature race, which will be coming up here in about 5 minutes. And if you're starting on the mediums for the feature race, you're basically doing the exact same thing that you did here in the sprint race, because you want to take the medium tires about 10 or so laps and then pit. And that's basically what we have here. So this sprint edition really allows drivers to test their ability to be consistent and repetitive and be able to adapt. But like I said, we have a pretty good preview of what people are doing for pace, and Segrist is showing up here in the sprint race. He got a poor start, which is why he's behind SBM, but he has been able to maintain pace with him. So Segrist will definitely be in my podium prediction for the feature race. But keep in mind, though, I mean, Main Wayne's pace right now is not as fast, and same with Raiden, but we have a whole 50% race, and with the strategy of the 3 tires coming into play, it can definitely spice things up. And don't even rule out a safety car either. We've had a couple spins this race, so anything can happen. Segrist looks to be a little bit farther back this lap compared to where he was at this point the previous lap. But I think at this point, he's okay, because he's not going to get the move done until the straightaway, right? So there's no need to try and get by him right now. He should probably do it in the next couple of laps, just because you don't want to do it on the final lap, because if you do it on lap 12 coming to the finish line, you're not going to get it, right? Because when you make a move on DRS, it typically is at the end of the straightaway. So Segrist doesn't have to worry just yet, but I would get the move done here in the next couple laps before lap 12. I would do it on lap 11 coming to lap 12 if you're gonna do the move, and if you have the pace and the battery to do it. But he might just have the pace, because SBM is not pulling away, and as a matter of fact, I think Segrist has slowly closed in lap by lap. It's fluctuated a little bit, but Segrist looking to make a move, and I've noticed SBM takes a wider line through there. I don't know if that's the preferred line. I like to keep it nice and tight through turn 14. I really just don't think taking a wide entry is the way to go, but Segrist is as close as he has been to SBM in this race. SBM is getting worried. As they head down to turn 2, Segrist is there on his rear wing. I think the pressure is definitely getting applied now to SBM, as Segrist is showing that he has the better pace. Segrist pulling a dummy move into turn 4, but he is there. And with a few laps to go, this is the battle for the sprint race victory. We mentioned SBM can clinch the Drivers' Championship, and 2 points is better than 1. And as of now, he is gaining 2 points on Main Wayne, but every point matters. If SBM wants to clinch today, which he can do, pretty easily actually, but it will be harder for him if he loses. Just because if he wins, it gives him a 68-point gap. And given that points through like 3rd, 4th, and 5th are separated by even numbers, it will make it easier for SPM if he wins today in the sprint race, but this may not happen. Siegrist has the DRS, he's draining the battery, he's going to make the move. Down to turn 1, they're side by side for the lead. And he is going to clear him. Siegrist, P1. Great stuff from the Red Bull driver. And that was one of the few moments this season where I've seen SPM kind of slip in terms of pressure. You saw he got really squirrely out of turn 1, and Siegrist was doing a great job of just staying with him throughout this entire race. And nonetheless, technically, SPM keeps his podium streak going. If you want to include this race, he has finished on the podium every race so far this season, which he and B-Tom are the only two drivers that can say that in all of TCR this season, which, I mean, really, like, once you get down to the last few rounds, it's rare that anybody can say that they finish on the podium every race in the season. So, good stuff from SPM to be consistent while winning. Because a lot of times you find drivers who are able to push, and they get wins, but they also have some DNFs in between. But SPM has been very consistent while winning most of the races. But we start the final lap. Siegrist in a good position to win the sprint race, as he has the gap going down to turn 1. He will have DRS one more time. Well, he won't, but SPM will have DRS. And they are now out of the DRS zone, so Siegrist looking very comfortable. Meanwhile, P3, I can imagine, will stay the same. Raiden, probably I can imagine, will allow Main Wayne to stay there. If Raiden does have the ability to pass him, I don't think he's going to, just because the championship could be wrapped up in SPM's favor. And keep in mind, too, the constructors, they're gaining a lot of points, actually, in the sprint race. They're looking to get 6 and 5, and SPM is getting 7, so they just want to keep things as is. There's no need to swap positions between those two. At the front, Siegrist lost the lead at the start of the race, had to battle against the championship leader to get that lead back, but he was able to get the overtake done, and Siegrist, after getting the pole in qualifying, will start on pole for the feature race. As he rounds the final corner, Siegrist will win the sprint race here in Hungary. SPM P2, Main Wayne P3, Raiden Shogun P4, and C Rizzy will line up P5. For the feature race, Omega P6 and Ben Swerven P7. Now, I'm pretty sure the DSQ, I hope it's just for the sprint race. And I'll make sure we can get Ben back in here, but oh! C Rizzy giving us a little Tokyo Drift action. Do a burnout, C Rizzy. If you're hearing me, do a burnout. Damn. Yeah, we'll have a few minutes here to get things going for the feature race. All right, good. We got him back in here. Awesome. All right. So, yeah. So we will take a couple minutes in between this race and the feature race coming up, and then we will get started. So this will be the lineup, though. This will be how they start. Siegrist will be on pole, and he has been perfect so far. Pole position for the sprint race win, on pole for the feature race, and, well, now is the tough part. Now he has to win the 50% and get fastest lap if he wants to do a extreme grand slam. I came 0.003 of a second from getting the fastest lap yesterday, and that prevented me from getting the extreme grand slam, so we'll see if Siegrist can do it. But I am going to do predictions. And I hate to go against Siegrist, but going based off of past experience, which is, we're at the point in the season where we can really judge how people have done throughout the season. SPM has been the guy. And I think he knows that there's a lot on the line today that he can clinch. But It is now a 67-point gap after the sprint race. So if you do the math, SBM can clinch the Drivers' Championship today with a 4th place finish. And honestly, I'm doing the math here. Main Wayne, he needs to get at least 3rd. If SBM finishes 4th, or if Main Wayne finishes below 3rd, then SBM will clinch the drivers. Now, Constructors is all up for grabs. It's a head-to-head race between Mercedes and McLaren, so you're not missing anything there. Nothing can happen today in terms of drivers wrapping things up. But let's take a look at the strategy. This is the 3-tire special for this race, and oh boy. Wow, wow, wow. This is going to be spicy for strategy. Siegrist on softs, SBM on softs. They will have blinding starts. Behind them, the McLaren guys, same strategy, which, I mean, partially surprises me, but not really. I mean, you can't... I don't think that's a bad option to start with the hards, but I really like what C. Rizzy and Ben Swerven just did. Starting on the mediums, I like that because it allows you to have the softs for the end of the race in case if a safety car comes out. And just in general, I think it's better to finish the race on the fastest tire. And it also allows them to get a better start than, say, Main Wayne and Raiden Shogun on the hard tires. So it gives you both a good start and a good finish, I think, by starting on the mediums. So those guys will be pitting around lap 10, and they'll go on the hards. Is Ben swerving? It said he joined back. It showed that he joined back. I hope he's here, but yeah, no, there's not much I can do there. My game won't allow me to invite people back. I'm afraid I would show it, but I remember back in the sprint weekend for Golden Class, D'Angelo, who was it? I think it was D'Angelo, went to the race director and it froze his screen for the sprint week, so I'm afraid to do that as well. C. Rizzy going to do a special way of parking on the grid, and I think Ben Swerven is done. So that takes out one of our contenders, but we are ready to start the feature race. Lights out and away we go from the Hungarian Grand Prix. Who gets off the line good? Yet again, SBM gets the better start ahead of Siegrist down to turn 1. And they will be side by side. Exiting turn 1, SBM's got the better launch on corner exit, and he's got the move. Meanwhile, look at this back here in the midfield. See Rizzy, Omega, side by side with Omega around the outside on the soft tires. And he's going to have the position for now, and he might keep it. Being on the quicker tire at this point in the race. That shakes things up a little bit as we look at the positions gained and lost at the front. SBM got a better start than Siegrist, and they are both on the same strategy, so that's big. Omega going up in the P5. He's on the sauce, but he's under pressure from C. Rizzy, who gets sideways in turn 11, but makes a nice save. So C. Rizzy now has his work cut out for him. At the front, though, deja vu of the sprint race. Siegrist started on pole, but falls back on the start to SBM, and now things are a little bit different. They have 35 laps to do this now instead of 12. So this will really test SBM's pace because sprint race, Siegrist definitely had the advantage, but we'll see where things lie in terms of strategy. And keep in mind, too, we don't know what Siegrist is going to do once he pits off the softs. I think the preferred way to go is hard than medium, but you never know. Siegrist tends to be an oddball when it comes to strategy, but we'll see what they do. They are neck and neck right now. for that position. You go back to P3, Raiden Shogun, Main Wayne, remaining P3 and P4, the way they finish off in the sprint race. B-Tom says you have to lead every lap to get the Grand Slam. Alright. Man, that would be tough. With the 3 tire strategy coming into play, I mean, I know we do trophies for TCR, but you should almost get a trophy for that. If you... Man, so let's do a recap. In order to get the Extreme Grand Slam in B-Tom's terms, you have to win the pole for the sprint race, you have to win the sprint race, lead every lap in the feature, and get the fastest lap. I don't think that's ever been done in TCR, and I don't know if... I mean, maybe, B-Tom, you can do it tomorrow. I mean, you know, I'm saying this now, and maybe you'll end up doing it tomorrow, but... Man, that almost seems impossible. Like, I think leading every lap is just the toughest thing, just because of strategy, and... Yeah, I know, that would be really, really difficult, but... P4... Omega closing in on Raiden, and really, this is a battle from P3 down to P6, as Rizzy, after having his little slide in turn 11, is starting to close the gap back up. So, although we only have 6 people now in the race, everybody is in some sort of a battle, so it keeps things exciting for sure. But... And this is, now that we have more laps in the feature race, this is really where you'll see Raiden's pace come into play, because we saw in the sprint race, he kind of was hovering around a second behind Main Wayne, and Main Wayne trying to keep the Drivers' Championship alive. I can imagine Raiden was maybe keeping him in check as, oh my goodness, lap 3 and SBM is in the pits. Wow. So he has had enough of these soft tires right away, and he is going to take the hards. Last week, SBM took the hard tires 24 laps or so, and it ended up paying off for him. So maybe he knows what he's doing, but that was really early to be pitting off of the soft tires. But a P4 switching hands, Omega drops behind C Rizzy, and C Rizzy has his work cut out for him after that little mistake in turn 11. Cost him a lot of time in comparison to the guys he's battling for the podium spot in front of him. And I say that because C Rizzy's tires are good now, but they are going to fall off quicker in comparison to Raiden and Main Wayne. So C Rizzy has to get things going here, and preferably stay within the 1 second gap right here through sectors 2 and 3, and he might do so because Raiden just had a slip up in turn 8 that allows C Rizzy to close in a little bit further. And C Rizzy could really complicate things for the McLaren guys. If Raiden feels like he has the pace and wants to get around Main Wayne, then he's going to have to do so, because C Rizzy could go and complicate things. But Omega will follow into the pits 1 lap after SBM comes in. So Omega has had enough now, and he will pit for... Judge says hard tires. So now that just leaves Segrist on the soft tire, and Segrist, if you flash back to Coda, I know he stretched the tires a little bit. He started on softs, was able to lead some laps, and he stretched the softs, so I wouldn't be surprised if he stays out here a few more laps. Yeah, B-Tom. Like I said, if it ever does happen, there should be some sort of award or trophy, because there's just too many circumstances that come into play. It's really hard to go and do an extreme Grand Slam. And next week we are in Portugal, which we finally go back to having just a traditional race. It feels like it's been forever since we've had just a straightforward qualifying and 50% race, but Segrist is going to come in, and you know what, B-Tom? I think Segrist has just sacrificed his Extreme Grand Slam, because Main Wayne will lead that lap, so I don't think we're going to see an Extreme Grand Slam, but if you lead out the laps led, he could still win the race and get fastest lap. So he still has that going for him. But Raiden closing in on Main Wayne, and not only are they teammates, but they are on the same strategy. So you'll have to watch out for that. As this is the battle I want to look at. Segrist coming in behind SBM, and he's going to have to warm up the tires. So SBM looking like he made the right decision there to come in and pit before him, because he's gained a little bit of track position now through that pit cycle. And yeah, C-Rizzy looking like he's fallen off a little bit. He was starting to close in on those guys, but he's starting to lose some of that pace. And with his strategy, the fact that he's starting on the mediums, he really needs to at least try and force something with the McLaren drivers, because he's the only one in this race that's on his strategy. So he needs to try something. But here we go for the lead. I think Main Wayne is going to let Raiden Shogun by, and he will be a good teammate in doing so. So, good stuff by them. It was clear just from what I saw, maybe Raiden's a little bit faster, but you know what? I don't know if I agree with that. Main Wayne has literally not touched the battery at all. Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that. With the circumstances that are on the line today, and the fact that SBM can clinch the drivers with a 4th place finish, I mean, there's not much they can do about it, but I don't know in that scenario if the McLaren guys are communicating with each other, but Main Wayne's being a little too conservative, I believe, right now. Because you do have to keep in mind, if Main Wayne was doing a hard to soft, and he was wanting to save the hards as long as he could, then maybe, but I almost feel like he needs to push a little bit more right now. Because he's not showing his true pace, I feel like. And, you know, Raiden's his teammate, but Raiden is just as much battling for a position as Main Wayne is. I mean, like, there's points in between Raiden and Main Wayne, so I feel like Main Wayne needs to kick it up a little bit here. Just personal opinion. I don't know what you guys think in the comments, but I mean, Main Wayne has not touched the battery at all. He's not at 100, but at this track, without touching the battery, you do lose a little bit of it. So, yeah, I think he needs to push a little bit more here at this point in the race. So, C-Rizzy though, man, he did he get wing damage anywhere? Because he's starting to drop back a lot, and maybe it's just the medium tires falling off. Maybe that's just it, but he's falling off a lot, so maybe that's just what it is. But yeah, really, you could take the medium tires around 10 laps. Yeah, he might want to come in and pit. He's really struggling, but oh man, yeah, he's struggling a lot. He might need to just not wait for lap 10. C-Rizzy might need to come in now and just save the time that he's lost here. Let's see what he does here through turn 13. And like I said, he was keeping pace with them, but he's going to stay out another lap. Which isn't the worst thing in the world. I maybe would have, yeah, maybe he should have come in there, but yeah, he's doing what he has to do. Maybe a podium for C-Rizzy today if we get a safety car or if things go his way with the strategy, but man, right now, not looking too good for the guy in the Alpine, but we'll see what happens. And I'm telling you what, SBM is showing his pace on these tires. He has gapped Segrist by at least a second, because SBM came out of the pits roughly a second ahead of Segrist, and since then, he has gained over a second. SBM looking really good to win the race and clinch the Drivers' Championship. If things stay the way they are, and keep in mind, they will be on a slower tire at the end of the race, but just based on SBM's pace, the pace he's had all season and the pace he's showing right now, I don't want to say things are going to get boring, but just stay with us, because this could be a pretty straightforward race. Unless if Main Wayne decides to pick it up, and he has started to pick it up. And I think he's done that because he sees the delta and the fact that he is in jeopardy of losing Raiden Shogun. Yeah. And Main Wayne, and just from races I've seen in the past, there's been times where Main Wayne has, like, drained all the battery in the first couple of laps. So maybe he's just trying something else out, as C. Rizzy goes for another spin, this time out of turn 1. So now I think it's, the time is ticking. Do I have, ooh, I just came up with a new idea, ladies and gentlemen. Give me a watch sound effect. Or like a clock sound effect. We're just adding, you know what, I need to make like a playlist of like all the sound effects. No, that's too slow. No, we need like a faster, like, we need like a, let me see here. Give me something, give me something. I'm trying to find, while I find that, the lead is closing up, but, oh, here's a good one. Jesus, no, that's a bad alarm clock. Give me a good clock sound effect. Or if any of you guys have like a link to a good like clock. What's this one? No, that's also really loud. What about like how about ticking sound effect? Let's do that. Relaxation, clock ticking, 8 hours. Here, what I'll do, I'll just speed it up. See, Rizzy, it is time for you to pit. It's time to take those medium tires off and salvage what you can. I'll find a better video for next week, but I'm not going to sit here scrolling through YouTube just because if I do that, then I'm going to be sitting on there, and knowing my commentator's curse, I'm going to miss somebody flipping over into the grandstands or something. So, but a sound effect I do have is the helicopter sound effect. Really aggressive helicopter for C. Rizzy because he's being very aggressive on the racetrack. But back at the front, Main Wayne still keeping that moderately close gap with Raiden. They're gonna have, I'd say, man, 5 more laps, 5 or 6 more laps, I would say. Because they want to do hard, medium, soft, is what I would say. And if you're going to do that, you want to pit around lap 17 or so, depending on who wants to pit first between these two. And then, from that point, you take the mediums around 10 or 11 laps, and then you put on the softs. But Raiden, I saw him get a little squirrely there in turn 3. Ooh. You got things going for you, Raiden. Don't spoil it. Got some pretty good pace, but I saw the back end of the car snap there through the right-hander, which tends to happen at several corners at this track. At turn 3, you could really hammer the gas, but you tend to... There's points where the back end can snap a little bit. Turn 4 as well, but in turn 4, really, you just have to worry about the curbs more than anything in turn 4. The inside curbs. You want to go over the curbs in turn 4, but you don't want to do it too much to where you either A, get a penalty, or B, get the car uncomfortable, because then, you know, you're going to spin into the wall. So, oh boy. Yeah, here, I think I can get Main Wayne an invite here through PlayStation. See, that's one of the things with crossplay. I hope we can get things sorted out next year to where you can invite easier. Yeah, I'm a PlayStation guy, so I can get PlayStation guys back in here. But my game had a stroke several weeks back, so it won't allow me to go into like the friends list and get people that way. So I can't get PC people in any sort of way. I can't set up the lobby with inviting PC people. I can't get them back in here. So I'm looking forward to F123. because I know there's been a lot of similar issues for people, but Main Wayne will get him back in here. Hopefully he can get back in here sooner than later, but this gives Raiden a very comfortable gap at the front and gives him a lot of time to just kind of cruise around and do some time trial laps. That must be really nice. I unfortunately did not have the pleasure of being able to do that yesterday, just because I was in a spot to where I could have done that, but we had a safety car come out, and that kind of allowed Carson to be on a faster tire, and he was able to stay with me for way too long, and yeah, I had to really be focused just in the second half of the race. But once the third half of the race, third part of the race came around, Camden, Jesus Christ, a third part of the race came around, I was able to get a gap on the soft tires. But Raiden is having that luxury of having a pretty good gap, and this is one of the best things you can have as a race car driver, is being all by yourself, especially if you're in the lead. It's a very luxurious thing to do, to be able to lead by a comfortable gap. And hopefully Main Wayne can get back in here. I was able to get him an invite, but as a matter of fact, I'll give him another one just for good measure, just in case if he disconnects again here, I can get him back in here. But yeah, we'll get him back in here. But you know what? This allows C Rizzy to kind of pull back in on Main Wayne and maybe get another position here. So, as of now, just by my race calculations with strategy and where people are on track, say that Main Wayne doesn't get back in here, C Rizzy could get a fourth. And depending on what happens, I mean, maybe he gets a podium, but you know what? SBM is closing in on him. So I can imagine this will be pretty easy for SBM, but depending on where he catches C Rizzy on track, SBM could get held up. So tune in like a lap or so for when that happens. Could even be sooner, because SBM is closing very dramatically. So we'll ride on board with him and see what he can do. And you notice, yeah, the battery here, I feel like a broken record, but the battery is awful at this track. I probably will argue that it is one of the worst tracks when it comes to battery. Just because tracks with high downforce tends to drain the battery a lot more, from what I've noticed. So on this game especially. So, but SBM could get the move done this time around on the front straightaway. He's gonna have DRS, but you know what? C Rizzy's not even gonna give him a chance. Whoa! Man, he looked like he almost missed his entry point, and he is drifting it into the pit lane. And that was close, but Main Wayne is going to pit. Not sure if he's back, but if the game pitted for him, I think that was a pretty good decision. I think he might be back in here, but we'll see where he ends up. No, he's not. Is he back in here? He might. Yeah, it looks like Main Wayne is back, so good to have you back. Yeah, it looks like he's back in here, so. C Rizzy, though, pitted at the same time, which ended up being, I think, a pretty good decision. Wow, yeah, no, he took the mediums way too long, actually. So, it was a good decision for him to pit when Main Wayne did, but he could have pitted, a few laps earlier. Just because the hard tires here can go at least 15 laps, and the mediums tend to fall off after 10 laps, as we saw with him. Around lap 10 or so, he started to really lose traction and grip, so, yeah, I would have pitted a few laps earlier if I were C Rizzy, but nonetheless, he will probably take these now 11 or 12 laps, pit around lap 29 to 30. Well, actually, no, if I were him, just because he's we're halfway through the race now. He should probably go at least to lap 30. Just because the softs have a prime of only a few laps. So if I were C. Rizzy, I would take these things to lap 30, 31, and then pit for softs. Just because he spent so much time out there on track on the mediums. And I mean, I guess, you know, like C. Rizzy, he had a couple of mistakes, so he's trying something, but I think, personally, I just think he stayed out way too long, and he lost a lot of time by doing so. But he's fighting for Main Wayne's position. He's in 5th right now. Omega, we haven't really mentioned him in a little bit. He's going to be in for a good chunk of points today. He DNF'd in the sprint race, so I don't believe he's going to get points for that. But if he finishes where he's at, he's going to get 8 points, and that nearly doubles his total for the season. So this will be a good momentum boost for Omega going into the last couple of weeks of the season and going into next season. Omega, he's been a long time TCR runner. As a matter of fact, I think I've raced with him a lot. I'm pretty sure I raced with him in a different league. So Omega's been one of those guys that have really hung around and has always showed up. But at the front, Raiden Shogun chose to pit to the soft tires. So he is choosing to finish on the mediums. Interesting strategy, and you know what? See Rizzy with the fastest lap, but I'm sure that's going to be short-lived, as Raiden is going to take off, but he's going to have to get away from Segrist for the time being, and all he has to do is just pull away here, and he'll get out of DRS range, and he should be off to the races. But interesting. So now this, I think everybody has pit. So now we're starting to get a taste of where people are going to end up. SBM started on the softs. He's going to pit for the mediums here in, just if I had to guess, probably 7 laps or so. So then he'll be finishing on mediums as well as Raiden. So hang on to your seats. This might be closer than we think. And you know what? Now that I think about it, yeah, no, I think Raiden, he could get up there and challenge. Yeah, this could be a good race. We'll have to find out what happens. It's a lot easier when you're a driver and you have to just focus on your own race compared to commentating. And I can't imagine if there was actually a grid here tonight. It's a lot to keep track of. It's a lot. Not as easy as it looks from the booth, but Raiden gonna make things interesting, as he's already got a lot of that gap taken away, and I can imagine he's gonna snag the fastest lap here in about 30 seconds, as he is flying. Yeah, Raiden really, he might have really pulled the better strategy off. Because both SBM and Raiden, I believe, are going to be on mediums at the end of the race, because SBM started on soft, so he's going to have to pit for mediums, and Raiden started on hards. And if Raiden gets a gap here, this could be really well for Raiden. He's going to the inside, gets the fastest lap, and gets the overtake. And now Raiden has to go, because these softs have a very short prime, and he has to get everything he can here before they come and pit for the mediums. And now SPM is in an interesting spot, because now he knows that he's behind the 8 ball, and he's going to have to decide when he feels like it's a good time to come in and pit, preferably ahead of Raiden, for the mediums. So yeah, Raiden, man, yeah, no, this was a really good job by Raiden. He's looking really good to at least get things pushed ahead in constructors. But if you look at the drivers, as I said before, SBM needs a 4th place finish to wrap things up, and with his competitor down in 4th, after a disconnect and being behind him, all SPM needs to do is just maintain his position, and he's got the Season 15 Drivers' Championship. And deservedly so. If you can clinch the championship with 2 rounds remaining, then you definitely deserve it. And really, SPM, he was close to clinching it going into today. He had a 66-point gap going into today. So, it's not like he needed to do much today. Trust me, like a 4th place finish out of 6 people remaining in the race is not asking much, but you never know. I think there was a lot of questions on SPM going into the season just because he had a little bit of inconsistency in Season 14. And I remember in the preseason predictions, there were not many people that picked SPM to win. As a matter of fact, his teammate Tebow was the favorite to win the Drivers' Championship, and Seafreeze went out of his way to pick GMBZ to win the Drivers' Championship, but SPM has proved us all wrong. And he is 14 laps away from clinching the Season 15 Drivers' Championship with a couple of rounds remaining. Which I'm sure will not help attendance for the last couple of weeks of the season, but you know what? SPM's doing what he's got to do. And this is the time to get it done. Low attendance. If you want to show up and compete for wins, and you have reasonable pace, this is the time to do it. Because the crowds are going to increase for next game. I think there's a lot of hype for next game, as long as, you know, some of the bugs and issues with this game get corrected. I think next game can be a smash hit, and you'll see attendance skyrocket. I really think next season you're going to see upwards of 17 or 18 people for every class at the start of next season. Especially with tracks like Las Vegas and just with the increasing growth of F1. Really, the last few years, I think the Netflix series has really helped F1 get a lot of younger viewers, and considering that's a majority of the people that do league racing, I think it's helped with numbers. And you know, if EA and Codemasters can come out with a game that works for everybody, if they can fix crossplay and the invites, and if they can fix those issues, then it can be a great game. And I really don't even think the physics are terrible either. I just think there's just a couple of loopholes that we have to fix for next game. But SPM is going to come into the pits, and he definitely needed to come in before Raiden just because he was losing a lot of time, and those two are going to be on the same tire to finish out this race. The SPM going to take the mediums, roughly 13 laps. And, well, we know with SPM, that's not going to be an issue. And the mediums can go, they can survive that long, but it's a stretch. See, Rizzy has spun out of the final corner, and he rear-ends the wall to add insult to injury. It has not been his race, but if I were C. Rizzy, I would just stay here, just get what you can, because there's only 6 people still in the race, and one of them is in the pits to also put on the medium tires. That's Omega. So now it's up to Raiden, really. It's up to Raiden. It's up to Seagrass as well. We'll see when he pits. But this is the battle for the win, I believe. Raiden and SPM. Seagrass was a little farther back than SPM before the pit cycle. So Raiden looking pretty comfortable, but this is about the time where those softs are going to fall off, and he is going to make the good decision to come in and pit for the mediums. And see, Rizzy gets a penalty. That is the first penalty of the day. Seagrass going to follow Raiden Shogun in the pits. And now on lap 24, we will get to see where people are. When it comes down to the end of this race, here comes Main Wayne out on track. Now, keep in mind, he will have to pit again, so I can imagine he's probably going to have to let Raiden Shogun through. SPM coming out a little bit better than where he was before the pit cycle, roughly 4 seconds back, but because Raiden has to warm up his tires, this is going to fall down to around 3 seconds. And I'm telling you what, I know this race looks over, and, you know, we could get a safety car or whatever, but the race is not over just because you do not count out SPM in these scenarios. I have seen many times in the few races I've commentated for the Golden Class this season, I've seen SPM overcome just about everything. So don't count him out to all of a sudden kick things up and apply some pressure on Raiden and maybe get things done. I think I remember, though, last week, I think I remember SPM saying that this wasn't one of his best tracks. So I should have remembered that before I made my predictions. But even with that, like, you can't take his word seriously. Like, SPM's worst day is still going to be a podium, you know? He hasn't finished off the podium at all this year. So it's almost a guarantee to put SPM in your podium predictions. I don't regret doing that, but Raiden, looking for his second victory of the season, and his rookie season in the Golden Class, it's been very impressive for him. And, you know, one of the topics that is always talked about once the season ends, especially in TCR, obviously, is where people are going to be in the following season as C. Rizzy pits for a wing and tires. But I know going into Season 15, there was some debate by some people. For example, there were some people that got moved up to the Platinum class who did a pretty good job in Golden in Season 14, but they felt as if they needed another year in the Golden class. And those people, I'm not going to call them out, but they haven't really showed up to Platinum this season. So, uh-oh! Segrist has spun out and he has taken off his wing, and that is a virtual safety car. Right? No. No virtual. It's just the game said sectors 1, 2, and 3 yellow, even though there's clearly a yellow in sector 3. But all good. No safety car or virtual safety car for the time being. A Raiden Shogun gets the move done on main Wayne, and that should write it off. Yeah, it's a shame for Segrist, though. So, yeah, he was looking to possibly get a podium here today, but that's looking like it's going to be out the window for him. And he will... I don't know where he's going to end up. He might end up in P5, as Omega has already passed him in the pit lane, and he's still getting his wing changed. So, yeah, how about Omega, man? Getting 12 points, which I think is more points than he's gotten all year. So, good stuff from Omega today, and who knows? I mean, if SBM and Main Wayne get together, or if Main Wayne disconnects, I'm not wishing that, but I would love to see Omega get on the podium. That would be awesome if we get Omega on the podium, but nonetheless, this is easily his best finish of the year, and I know we have a low grid, but he still is finishing ahead of guys like Segrist and Rizzy, who have competed for wins this year. So, good stuff from Omega, and I'm looking at the points here from USA, just because they haven't been updated from last week, but Omega is going to gain a lot of spots. He's possibly going to gain 4 or 5 spots in the points here. So, good stuff from Omega in that AlphaTauri. And if you want to talk about AlphaTauri, as C. Rizzy has spun out in Sector 2. That is in Turn 5, and he spun out there before today. It's not been a good corner for him, as he's going to let the leaders through. He just has to pick it up here. I'm just worried he's going to bring out a VSC or something, but I think we're all good. But yeah, no, this is big day for Omega, big day for SBM. Raiden and Main Wayne are finishing 1-2, but Main Wayne has the pit, so he's going to fall back. Either way, though, it's looking like McLaren might gain on Mercedes, just by rough calculations. It looks like, just based off the sprint race and where they're going to finish today, looks like they're going to gain points on Mercedes. So the SBM, although he's got the Drivers' Championship just about wrapped up, I would encourage him and Tebow to really give it 100% these next 2 weeks, because Constructors is still very close, but just by rough calculations and the way things are headed, it's looking like Raiden Shogun and Main Wayne are going to get themselves a Constructors' Championship in Season 15, as there's only 2 rounds remaining, which is Portugal and Belgium. The next 2 weeks, we will have traditional 50% races, and it will finish out the season. We have pretty close championship battles in Silver and Platinum. I believe, depending on what happens tomorrow in Platinum, things could be wrapped up maybe next week. C Rizzy gone around, and you know what? This just, I hate it to be mean to C Rizzy. I'm going to poke some fun at him right here. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to poke some fun at him right here. Let me find the song. C Rizzy, this song goes out to you. That goes out to you, C Rizzy. Good job. He'll appreciate that, I swear. Meanwhile, Main Wayne does have to pit again, which means SBM is in net P2, but if he gets the Main Wayne before he pits, there could always be a little struggle for SBM to get by him, but I don't think he's going to have enough time to get to him before Main Wayne pits. As a matter of fact, I would, if I were him, I would pit, like, pronto, but uh-oh. Seriously, man, you're going to make me keep playing this song for you. See, Rizzy, you are on my watch list now. The next time you spin, I am obligated to play that song. So, just keep that in mind. Although I think he's hearing me. He's going at a rapidly slower pace. I think he's doing everything in his power to make sure he doesn't spin out, as he needs to warm up his cool down his tires. But Main Wayne in the pits to finish off the race. I don't. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Oh, I think he was just letting him by. Oh, man. Damn it. Spin out one more time. What? Yes, do that, but spin out. I want to play the song one more time. Do it. Do it. Do it. Oh, he's in the wall. Oh, no. Okay, well, I think I just joked us into a safety car. Oh, dear. Well, I don't think I don't mean to laugh. That's not good. Safety car on lap 30 out of 35, and you know who just won? Literally everybody in the back, but especially Main Wayne, who just pitted on the soft tires. It's gonna be close with... Oh, you know what? Yeah, no, he just won out big because they had already pitted for the softs. Oh my goodness. What is this going to do for Raiden and SBM? Oh dear. They had already pitted for the soft tires, so even if they come out ahead of Main Wayne, which is gonna be close, I think Raiden will come out ahead of him, but SBM, man, SBM's gonna stay out. I think that's what he has to do. Raiden, well, Raiden had fresh softs. Okay, so, but either way, though, I mean, this puts everybody back into the conversation. So, yeah, no, that's interesting. Wow, unbelievable. So after C Rizzy spins out, and that might have been part of my fault too, because I was kind of joking, you know, playing the "You Spin Me Round" song, and now the safety car has been activated, so that might be my bad. But oh, you know what this is gonna do too? I think C Rizzy, he's gonna be a good soldier here and pull over for his mate. But I was about to say, yeah, is C Rizzy gonna be in the way of Raiden? But I think he's gonna let him through, which is good on C Rizzy. Oh, jeez. Oh God! Don't do it again. Yeah, no, good stuff on C Rizzy. I think he's gonna let everybody else through as well, just because. And I don't want to call him out here, but like, you know, he was really far behind, second to last, and kind of spun out on his own late in the race to cause a safety car, and looks as if SPM is going to be in a really bad spot. Raiden had extra softs with him, which surprises me, but I don't want to say, you know, he lucked out, because he was leading the race before safety car came out, but he is going to be on a little bit fresher softs than everybody else, and he's got SPM on a way worse strategy right now, but you don't want to see that. But here comes Main Wayne. Is he going to pit here for... Oh, I don't agree with this. Why is he pitting? Is he really pitting for softs? Well, actually, no. That's okay, because he's gonna come out ahead of Omega. So no, I agree with this. This is good. Yeah, that's fine. He's not losing anything by doing this. If you have an extra pair of softs, which I'm surprised they do, but well, I guess no. I guess the sprint race. Yeah, no, no, it makes sense. But yeah, no. If you have an extra pair of softs, you might as well put it on. And if I were Seagrist, honestly, I would have done the same there, honestly, because Omega stayed out, but we're gonna have a few laps to the finish either way. But any type of advantage you can get here in the race is crucial. So this will be, if the safety car comes in this lap, this will be a 3-lap race to the finish. If the safety car doesn't come in, which there's a good chance of that because we still have 2 people that need to catch up to the safety car, we will have a 2-lap race to the finish, which means DRS will be inactive. Yeah, beat Tom. I think that was on me. C Rizzy probably shouldn't have crashed it into the wall there, but I think I was definitely pushing the commentator's curse a little bit too hard. The racing gods, if there were a racing heaven and a racing hell, beat Tom, I would be going straight to racing hell. just because of my history of the commentator's curse. And really, you know what? I've been thinking of ideas to do in the off-season for videos and stuff to keep things going, because there's only so many shorts you can make for, you know, a recap from the season, just because we've been doing them all season long. But I almost feel like I should put together a TCR commentary curse compilation, and I would be probably 2/3 of that video. So if there were a racing hell, a commentary hell, I would be the first person to go there. But yeah, no, C Rizzy is, well, you know, I saw that he pulled over for Raiden there the previous lap, but if he's going to do that, he might as well pull over for Main Wayne, because Main Wayne is literally fighting for his season right here, so he might as well, like, spin out, C Rizzy should, like, or at least, like, park it and let everybody by, you know, in a way to where the game allows him to be overtaken by everybody, because he's kind of getting in the way of, or at least pit, you know, like, C Rizzy should at least find a way to get out of everybody else's way here. Because you think about it, he caused a safety car, he let Raiden by, I saw it on screen, he literally parked it in the grass and let him by, but he's not going to let Main Wayne by, who's going for a driver's championship right now. Like, I don't know if I agree with that, but he's not obligated to let anybody by. But I'm just saying, if he's going to do that for one guy, which he did with Raiden, then he should do that for the guy behind him who needs to get by SPM in order to keep the championship alive, and SPM needs to finish in 5th or 6th as the safety car is coming in this lap. SPM will lead the grid to green. The race is in his hands, but he is at a massive disadvantage on old medium tires. And he will dictate the pace so he can do what he can to at least get some sort of a jump. Luckily for him, this will be a 2-lap shootout, so DRS will not come into play, but there's only so much you can do when you have people on fresh softs behind you. And he is slowly increasing the gap. And he is going. We are back underway. See, Rizzy pulls aside to let everybody else through, but this does put Main Wayne at a big disadvantage, and Main Wayne has a terrible start. He's getting overtaken by Omega and Segrist. Omega is in position to get a podium position today, and oh, Main Wayne just got a 5-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag. I'm sure he'll get that removed. But right now, Omega is in position for his first podium of the season. This will be huge if he can do that, and you know what? The battle at the front is close. Raiden, behind SBM, on a much better strategy at this point in the race. But if he's going to make the move done, he might have to do it here on the front straightaway. Because there's only so many places you can overtake at this track. Raiden on the rear wing of SBM as they head through turns 13 and 14 to start the final lap of the race. After a late safety car put Raiden behind the 8 ball, he is going to try and make a move on SBM to get that lead back. SBM going defensive, Raiden gets below him into turn 1. They're side by side, they make contact, Raiden spins out, and that allows SBM to get in front. Now Omega is in P2 on fresh soft tires with a chance to go for the win at this point in the race, but he has to hold off Segrist in 3rd position with Main Wayne behind him. Main Wayne has that penalty, but I think he's going to get that removed. Here they go into turn 5 around the outside. He can't get it done for now. Segrist going defensive as they head into the chicane. They're all over the back of Omega as they head into the S's. There's contact. Main Wayne has to slip in to P4 for the time being, and he might keep that position. Omega, don't think he's going to get it done, but a hell of a drive thus far by him as trouble for Main Wayne. He is going to spin and not get a podium. Here they go into turns 13 and 14. Omega with the drive of his life, but he's not going to do it. SBM does the unthinkable, somehow holding everybody off. SBM wins the Hungarian Grand Prix, and more importantly, SBM QC418 is the Season 15 Golden Class Champion for Trinity Competitive Racing. What a way to get it done. Omega gets on the podium. 2nd place for him. Fantastic stuff. Nearly, I feel like if he had another lap, he would have won the race. Unbelievable. And Segrist, after all that, he ends up getting in the podium. Man, I feel for Raiden. There was contact in the turn 1. I think he had to make the move there. He was on a much better tire, but with how hard it is to pass, I don't blame him for sending it there. And that stings. He's not even going to get a podium here today. Yeah, no, that blows. That blows for him. But hell of a day for SBM. He has done it after all of that. 7th victory of Season 15, and he clinches the championship. With 2 races remaining, SBM clinches the championship. Oh, that was... I don't know how to feel about that, though. I mean, I got to feel for Raiden. You know, that sucks for him. But otherwise, a great race. Great job by SBM. What did I say before the safety car? Don't write off SBM ever. Just don't do it, because he knows how to get it done. When his back is against the wall, and he was able to do it. So Yeah, just an unbelievable race. You look at the points for the whole event. SBM got 32. Main Wayne only got 16. Omega with 21. Huge, huge stuff for him. And yeah, no, that was crazy though. But we will get all of these guys in here for the interview in just a couple of moments. I really want to hear from Omega. I'm sure he's going to be hyped about that. I really think, like I said, if he had another lap, I think he could have at least tried to make a move. I think he just needed one more lap, and he would have been able to get things done. So, trying to get people in. I could always just, because we can't get Seegers in a party, so I could just call him and do things that way, but we will get these interviews started in just a second. You know, I could always just do it one at a time, too. Yeah, here's what we'll do. I will make a party for Omega and SBM. I will call him on Discord, though. Let's get Seegers in here. I'll wait a little bit longer for Seegers here, then we'll get interview started. If he doesn't show up, we'll interview Omega. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, right. Yeah, we'll get things started in just a second. Seegers is on PC, so not sure if he's doing an interview, but we'll wait a little bit longer. Then we'll start off with you here if we can't get that good. Yeah. All right, yeah. So we're gonna start things off with P2 Omega, best finish of the season, and honestly, if you had one more lap, you might have been able to get SPM. But how are we feeling? That's awesome. Yeah, first podium in TCR. We saw the late safety car come out there at the end. There were some people that had fresh softs and came back in and pitted again for soft tires after they had pit before the safety car. Did you know if you had an extra pair of softs that you could have came in and pitted for a second time under that safety car? Awesome. And so for the rest of the season, there's only 2 races left. You got Portugal and Hungary. So how are we feeling about those races? And what do you think you can? Oh, Portugal and Belgium. Portugal and Belgium. That's right. How are we feeling about those tracks? That's awesome. Well, Omega, it's great to see you in here. I'm sure this is going to be a popular podium in the league, and your first podium in TCR. Congrats on that, and hopefully you can get another one here soon. Yeah, right on. Yeah, so we're gonna try and get SPM in here. He has been added. I don't think Seagrass will be with us for the interview, so it might just be you. You get your first TCR podium and your exclusive interview. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you too, man. It's a good guy. Um, yeah, we'll see if I'd like to get SBM in here because he clinched the championship. Um, yeah, I would like to get him in here, but if not, then that will wrap things up. We'll wait a couple more minutes, but I do want to talk about the next couple of weeks. It's as crazy as things were today. I think things will settle down a little bit the next 2 weeks. We have two 50% races at, like Omega said, Portugal and Belgium. Um, and they will be just traditional 50% races. I am worn down, you guys, and I have another comms to do tomorrow night. I think it would help if I finally put the AC in because I'm drenched, and you can only talk to yourself for so long. So yeah, we'll wait a couple more minutes. I really would like to get SBM in here just because he won the race, won the championship. But if not, I'm sure we'll have a couple more weeks to celebrate him. Um, but yeah, keep things tuned in for the next couple of weeks. Check out the website. We do have merch on there. I don't think anyone's mentioned that in a little bit, but trinitycompetitiveracing.com. You can get your merch on there. And, well, like we said, Omega got his first podium, so that will go in the stat book. Keep that in mind when you're on the website, that we do have stats that you can look at on the website. And I think that will do it, though, for tonight. Tomorrow, we have the Platinum class, same format in Hungary. We have the sprint race, and then the 50%. B-Tom looking to extend that gap that he extended from last week. And after the mistakes that Darth Vader made last week, he'll need to fix things in order to have a rebound for this week. But I think that will do it for tonight. This has been round 12, the Hungarian Grand Prix for the TCR Golden Class. My name is Cam DeLuca, and we will see you next week in Portugal. Have a good night.